Hey everybody, welcome into this week's edition of Spot On Fishing's Top 5. I'm your host, Tony Krizak. This week, we're sticking with the salmon theme. It's that time of year. We're counting down the top 5 salmon crankbaits casting from shore for the fall king salmon run. The Storm Hottentot. Now what's really interesting about this crankbait is the searching pattern that it does as you retrieve it. It'll actually kind of swim in almost like an S pattern is the best way to describe it, where it'll kind of shimmy side to side as it's coming in, as well as the vibration and flash that it's going to give off. It's got that slow S pattern where it'll swing out right, swing left, come back center, and it really has that good searching pattern. Now, good colors on the Hottentot are the blue and chrome, as well as the fire tiger pattern. We do very well on those colors. The larger size has always been better. We get a little better casting distance. They run at about 7 to 9 feet of water. So perfect depth, especially when the kings are somewhat suspended over some of these deeper holes when we're lakeside. Also a very good option inside the harbors. A lot of flash, good vibration. Now let me tell you, the Reef Runner, I've probably caught more kings at night on this bait, on this crankbait, than any other crankbait. Especially the glow in the dark patterns. They have a purple glow and they also have a glow goby, they call it. Just the bellies on them glow on those two patterns, but at night it's been a very good crankbait for us. Really effective with the stop and go retrieve. We can even integrate some twitches here and there on that bait. Great stick bait. Originally designed as a walleye lure, but man, we catch so many kings on that thing. Also during the day, it's a good idea to run the fire tiger pattern or even that blue and chrome that they do as well. And you'll kind of notice that seems to be a trend, bright patterns or more natural patterns, but good vibration, has a rattle to it. And like I say, at night, they do offer those 2 glow in the dark patterns. And we're running the larger size, the deep diver on there. Just perfect, especially lakeside when we're fishing these kings. The Rapala J13. If you've ever fished salmon, you know all about this crankbait. By far probably the most popular crankbait on the market for casting for fall kings. Good shallow diving bait, really good in the harbors too. That's probably where I like to use that bait the most. What's nice about those J13s is real wide wobbles to it. You get a little bit of a clacking sound to it as well, being a jointed crankbait. Good sound, good flash, good vibration, and not being a deep diver. It's very good, especially inside the harbors a little later in the year. I really do well on those J13s. The Berkley Frenzy crankbaits. Man, these things were so hard to find for the longest time. They came out, and if you were a fall king salmon guy throwing on the lakefront, you wanted these baits. Wide variety too, everything from their deep divers, the medium divers, and the shallow divers. Good wide wobbling baits, have a nice one knocker rattle to them, a lot of vibration, a lot of sound. Covers all water levels because you can run them in the different sizes and different diving depths. Also the Berkley Frenzy flicker shads as well. We've caught a lot of fish on those. We're going to kind of lump a few of those baits all together under the frenzy category like that. And my goodness, excellent crankbaits. And like I say, for a few years it was very hard to find. Now quite a few retailers around Chicagoland have those baits. They're not as hard to get your hands on them. Bass Pro Shops has them, Fishing Connection, just to name a few. And excellent crankbaits, both lakeside or inside the harbor, whichever you prefer. Now this is my all-time favorite. And again, we're going to kind of combine 2 into 1 here. It's the Storm Magwort and the Storm Wigglewort. I'll tell you what, when you can't get a salmon to go on a spoon or any other crankbait, I will always go to the Magwort or the Wigglewort. The Magwort, of course, is the larger size. Wigglewort is the smaller size. Now these baits, a lot of vibration, a lot of rattles to them, big rattle chambers, the BB rattles. And the little guy, The wiggle wart comes with a clip attached to it. You're going to want to tie directly to that clip. On the mag wart, it's a split ring, not a clip. You can tie direct right to there. Daylight, nighttime, sunny skies, overcast skies, probably my all-time favorite crank, be it if I'm here in the city or if we're up north in Racine or Kenosha, St. Joe, you name it. My all-time favorite salmon crankbait is always going to be the Storm Magwort and the Storm Wiggle Wart. Those two baits have accounted for more salmon for me than any other crankbait. I like that bigger size, the full-size Magwort, more so lakeside. And pretty much from the start of the King Run until they move inside the harbors. Now once they're inside the harbors, I have caught a couple on the Magwort, but man, I'll tell you what, the regular Wiggle Wart inside the harbor is deadly. Couple good color patterns, Fire Tiger for sure. Also, believe it or not, their rusty orange craw, their olive craw rather, been a really good color for me. You know, kind of goes outside the norm as far as the salmon colors go, but that orange belly I think really is what draws it in. Well, there you have it. That is our picks, my picks, the top 5 salmon crankbaits. Now when we're running these cranks, I'll run a full-blown salmon rod, 8/6, and I'll usually go to a medium action, a little softer tip, just to have a little more forgiveness. I do like running monofilament line for this as well. Anytime you have 2 or 3 treble hooks like that, you know, you want a little forgiveness. You don't want to be ripping those hooks out. And usually 10-pound test, 12-pound for sure, is what I'll always run. P-Line CXX or the P-Line CX, which is a fluorocarbon coated mono. Excellent line for this application. Believe it or not, also the Bass Pro Shop branded XL mono has been very good for salmon fishing for us. That's another line I highly recommend, especially for the crankbaits. So that is our top 5 fall salmon casting crankbaits. What do you think of it? Do you agree with our list? Are there cranks you particularly love? I can only imagine, because trust me, it was hard to come up with just 5 good salmon cranks, especially being in the fishing retail world for as long as I've been, knowing how many of these fish are caught on crankbaits and all the different varieties. So let us know in the comments below. Once again, my name is Tony Krizek. See you next time. Tony Spot on Fishing.